Don't fall back. Don't let her tricks and illusions deceive you. We are the glorious Imperial Army, and we will bring victory to His Majesty the Emperor. Begin the bombardment as planned, now!
The tanks on the left flank responded to Gaster's command and moved forward. The first row trundled forward, creating space between themselves. With that, the glass boundary line was broken. The warning had been abjectly ignored, and the consequences were soon to follow. The war with the Eastern Empire had begun.
It's on, isn't it?
Yes, and this is just the beginning.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, great. Can you get the town evacuated now, please?
Right on. Just leave it to good old Ramirez.
Ramirez effortlessly quarantined the capital city of Rimuru in the dungeon.
Oh, I had a message from Trainee.
Hmm?
Like, she detected some fishy-looking character or something, so she's gonna go greet them.
Huh? What's that mean?
Well, I'm not sure I really know either, you know?
It was useless to ask Ramirez for details. So wait, do we need to do anything about our intruders yet?
They will not be a problem for now, sir. All we have to do is keep an eye on the gate placed on the surface, as planned.
Rimuru reviewed the labyrinth's structure and defense strategy.
We'd prepared well, but shouldn't let our guard down. Time to return my attention to the battlefield.
On the screen, Testarossa, reunited with Gobta, rode away on Ranga, pursued by the Empire's tanks.
Are they all right?
Benimaru asked, concerned about Gobta's group.
If they're hit, probably not, but that's unlikely to happen.
Benimaru used his born leader skill to issue orders to the 1st and 3rd Corps. The Tempest forces moved swiftly, with the green numbers advancing cautiously toward the enemy's rear. Gabil's team Hiryuu and 300 Wyvern riders from the blue numbers took to the skies. Their plan was to attack the tanks from the air.
This was a good idea, but the enemy had air power too.
Gobta's force was closest to the enemy, maintaining a safe distance.
We didn't know the tank's range or capabilities.
Then Raphael's report appeared, analyzing the tank gun's orientation.
Based on the tank gun's orientation and angle, they are taking accurate aim. It is believed they have a sound grasp of the goblin riders lurking in the trees.
Maybe they had a new weapon unknown to Ghidorah? Huh? That's bad, isn't it? Benimaru, I think the enemy has some means to locate the goblins.
Understood. I took that possibility into consideration, so Gobta's force is the sole group comprising the advance team.
Benimaru remained relaxed, while Rimuru decided to trust him.
There were 2,000 tanks with 500 patrolling for goblins.
Gobta rejoined his troops looking pale. Testarossa sat on Ranga's back, relaxed.
Gobta might have realized Testarossa's true strength, and now wasn't the time for relaxation.
While they thinking, the tank guns opened fire towards Testarossa and goblin riders.
Gobta, in shadow right now.
All riders, in shadow.
The goblin riders used shadow motion to disappear, and a rain of shells pounded the area.
Analyzing the tank gun's capabilities. The caliber of the tank guns is 120 millimeters, so the mass of the shells is approximately 46 pounds. The velocity is slightly under 6 times the speed of sound, and the kinetic energy of each shell is proportional to its mass multiplied by the speed of flight squared.
I hate to interrupt you while you're having such a ball describing all this stuff to me, but, I don't even know what a stick of dynamite can do, really. So if you could maybe give it to me in beginner terms.
Acknowledged. In specific terms, a direct hit would shatter even the Great Gate of the Dwarven Kingdom. Not even an A-ranked dragon could withstand it. Anyone within 15 feet of impact would be severely damaged by concussive force, and survival for anyone ranked C or below would be out of the question.
Right, thank you. Could have started with that, you know. Wait. Whoa. That's real bad, isn't it?
Rimuru watched the devastating effects of the tank fire and the damage it caused.
That must have been the effect of the mystery shell. It was like a nuclear bombardment. I'm glad you're okay, Gobta.
I wouldn't call myself okay, sir. The shockwave made it through to shadow space too.
Anybody hurt?
No, we're good on that. No casualties, thanks to Benimaru.
Gobta seemed okay despite complaining about the shock. Testarossa seemed fine too. Now, what's our next move? Time to use thought communication for a conference call.
On the thought communication call.
So what do we do now?
Right now, Gabil and his troops are on their way to launch a raid on the enemy tank force. I'd like Gobta's force to move out and help execute a pincer strike on them.
Isn't that dangerous?
It is, But Gabble's force will serve as a diversion. Gobta's force will use that opportunity to attack.
So Benimaru's plan relied on Gabble's Air Force's speed.
The tanks pack more destructive force than expected, but their mobility is within our expectations. We stand a good enough chance of winning.
Gabble's bravery would see him through.
We're going in too?
You're going to be the star of the show, but don't worry. Once you're in among them all, they'll slow down to avoid any bouts of friendly fire.
Benimaru's orders sounded bold.
Okay, so you want us to keep up shadow motion while we're doing this?
That'll be dangerous. The enemy will likely have defensive measures in place.
Rimuru agrees the anti-skill barriers were a concern.
There's a Legion magic known as Interface Barrier that I am aware of. It prevents surprise attacks from other dimensional spaces, but it also may block the Legion from moving.
And Benimaru also agree that head-on rush was the safest approach.
The plan was set. Now it was time to execute.
Testarossa summing up Rimuru's concerns.
I get it. If you say so, Testarossa, I'm not gonna complain about anything.
Rimuru already thinking that Gobta was intimidated by Testarossa. Gobta, you should know that people are not always what they seem. Keep that in mind and please try to avoid making the same mistakes again, okay?
Righto. I'm real sorry about it.
What is he talking about?
Oh, it's not really a secret, I guess. Just Gobta putting his foot in his mouth again.
You mean about Testarossa? Well, he is maturing, yes, but in the most important parts of his life, not so much.
Benimaru wondered about Diablo's companions and who they really were.
By the way, who were the people that Diablo brought back with him?
Let me tell you about them in a bit, all right?
Don't worry. It's not a topic to worry about during a war.
All right, Gobta. We're at war right now. It's good to reflect on your past mistakes, but it won't matter unless you come back alive.
Yeah, I know.
Is there anything you don't understand about your mission?
No problems here, Benimaru. We'll move over to the edge of the forest and rush in just as Gabil launches his attack.
Very good. Put everything you have into this.
Yes, sir.
The conference call ended, and Gobta was ready for the mission.
Gwahahaha! Behold my exploits! You slow-moving bastards are no match for us!
Gabel's forces demonstrated exceptional coordination and skill, evading the tank's gunfire with ease. Meanwhile, Team Hiryuu and the Wyvern Riders were putting up an impressive fight, showcasing their training and air combat skills. Gabel's diversion tactics included having Wyverns spit fireballs, causing minimal damage but fulfilling their tactical role. Elsewhere, Gobta led the Goblin Riders, charging head-on toward the tank forces with precision and speed. With 500 tanks facing them and 1,500 more lined up, the Goblin Riders aimed to disrupt the Imperial forces' formation. Gobta understood the stakes and followed Benimaru's orders, utilizing his speed to outmaneuver the enemy. The outcome hung in the balance, as the Imperial forces would desperately try to block the Goblin Riders. There was only about 100 yards left to the front row. The Goblin Riders could run that distance in under 6 seconds. A few shots were fired their way, but the goblins didn't flinch, keeping up their speed. Not a single move was wasted among the riders as they disposed of the obstacles blocking their way.
Range 0.
They had successfully approached the tank battalion, and Gobta gave a silent signal to Gobchi. Gobchi threw a glowing red jewel into the tank turret. This was an element core infused with flame magic.
But will these work?
Will this be okay?
Do not worry, Rimuru. Trust in our friend Charis.
Yes, Sir Rimuru, take heart.
I'm sure it'll be...
The tank explodes.
See, I told you, didn't I? I told you my plan was foolproof.
Oh, sure, bask in it.
That is so like you, Rimuru.
I don't need that from either of you.
Charis was tremendously proud of himself. Benimaru and Beretta gave that a resigned chuckle. Xion and Diablo just smiled. The second phase of the operation was a success. The next goal was to strike the middle of the enemy army. The goblins ran on, striking at the infantry, protecting the tank's blind spots.
Gobta's sure done it, hasn't he? Now none of those tank guns can target us.
No, we can't be too careful. Depending on their commander, they may shoot at us anyway and accept any collateral damage.
That's absurd. But then again, this was war.
Besides, the enemy has air power too. It's still too early to rest easy.
That's right.
Rimuru turned his gaze to another large screen, monitoring enemy aircraft. The enemy air force was increasing speed, likely staying in communication with the Empire.
Once Gabil engages the Air Force, the Goblin Riders will be isolated.
The battle progressed rapidly, with Gobta and Gabil achieving impressive results.
But something always goes wrong sooner or later.
Benimaru's words echoed, "It's too early to rest easy."